I bought the Meebook M7 because I wanted an Android e-ink device, and the reviews and specs for the M6 were not great, which is why I went with the M7 instead. I use Moon Plus Reader Pro, Google Playbooks, Kindle, Libby, and Hoopla. So having a device that can use all of those programs and sync across platforms was important. I use TTS a lot when doing housework, driving, or when I just don't feel like reading print. So I wanted a device where I could either do that directly or switch to my phone seamlessly. The M7 has adjustable lighting, cool and warm, works well with all of the Android apps, has a built-in speaker, a micro SD card slot, physical buttons for page turns and power, which have a small amount of customization available, has its own built-in reader software, which seems to work fine. The battery life is good, as long as you're not constantly downloading stuff, constantly playing around with the settings, or keeping the Wi-Fi on all of the time. You can set it to time out. Once you have your stuff set up, regular use shouldn't drain the battery any more than any other e-ink device with a light. I have a 128 GB micro SD card in my M7, and it works well. But there's also plenty of onboard storage, and you can connect to Google Drive, Dropbox, etc. I download most of my books using Moon Plus Reader Pro and Google Drive or Calibre, but you can connect via USB, use Wi-Fi transfer or sideload onto a micro SD card. Moving files using the installed file manager is easy. The system dictionary is not in English, but you can download a Mobi or Stardict file, put it into the dictionary folder in the root directory, and then change the order of dictionaries in the onboard dictionary app. There are a couple of YouTube videos to walk you through it. You can customize quite a lot on this device, which can make getting everything right a little time-consuming. But it's nice to have absolutely everything work exactly as you want it. The only cover made for the M7 is ugly, so I bought a faux suede pouch for mine. Anything made for a device the size of a Kindle Oasis should work just fine. I have to admit that I was a little disappointed by this e-reader at first. And the reason for that was because out of the box, the M7 wasn't meeting my expectations. Partly because I was treating it more like a tablet than an e-reader, and partly because I didn't realize just how much I could customize it to fit my needs. When I started tweaking the settings and stopped expecting it to do the same things as a tablet, I realized just how great it is. There are just so many settings to play with. Device settings, app-specific settings within the device, app-specific settings within the apps, sub-settings, hidden settings, etc. If you can't make the M7 work well for your preferences, then you just aren't trying hard enough. Overall, I am really happy with the M7, but it did take some getting used to before I really loved it.
I haven't seen many English reviews for the Meebook M7, so here's one. Firstly, price. I bought this thing for $179 on AliExpress, and that's including the typically $15 to $20 case. Considering that this thing runs Android 11, has 32 gigabytes of storage that can be expanded with an SD card, has 4 gigabytes of RAM, has multiple refresh modes for optimization with any content, has configurable page turn buttons, a custom operating system with a built-in library and e-ink compatibility options for each app, and has a battery that has lasted me 3 days without charging at constant use with Wi-Fi on. Today is the third day, and it is at 26%. I think that $179 was a great deal. The screen is quite nice. It is flush with the rest of the device, distributes the front light evenly across the surface, and reduces the amount of light directly shining at the user's eyes due to increased light bounces. The words on the screen are also as clear as can be at 300 ppi. However, Meebook's lamination technology is not optimal. The screen is not as bright as my Kobo Clara HDs, and probably not as bright as a, say, Booksleaf 2AS. Even so, the difference between the Meebook and Kobo screen is minimal. I only noticed it when I had them side by side and was actively comparing them. While reading on the Meebook, this does not bother me at all. The Meebook's default OS is very nice. The features include the following: configuration of apps. For example, I can apply a filter to dark mode apps that make the text clearer. I can set Moon Plus Reader to a lower refresh rate and Kiwi Browser to a higher refresh rate. I can set the page turn buttons to function as arrow keys in a text editor app. A built-in library and reader. I can easily switch to a library on the home screen and read a book. Additionally, I can set the library to open the books in an external app. E-ink optimized, of course. No swiping animations like most launchers. The Meebook M7 also comes with a default browser, which appears to be a modified version of Chrome, a gallery, 2 separate file managers, a Cloud Drive app that can be integrated with Google Drive and other cloud services, Google Play Store. No, you do not have to set it up yourself, another App Store, and other configuration apps, such as Settings and Floating Ball. The floating ball creates a circular button on the screen that can be moved around and tapped to open a menu with custom buttons. I have the buttons configured as Clear Cache, Open Kiwi Browser, and Open Z Library. The floating ball can also be hidden per app. The e-ink screensaver can be customized as well. It can be a clock that refreshes at custom intervals. It can be a custom image. It can be a calendar. The only cons here are no widgets. You'll have to get a separate launcher for that. No wallpaper. Most third-party launchers will have a black background that cannot be changed. Only Square Launcher and some minimalist launchers I've tried have allowed me to override the lack of wallpaper configuration. No freeform windows, tabs. The device supports OTG, but not OTG and charging at the same time, and Bluetooth 5.0. The page turn buttons can be configured per app to act as a scroll, arrow keys, volume buttons, or the usual page up, page down buttons. The Frontlight spreads evenly across the screen, thanks to the glass. It isn't like a Kobo, though, where you can control brightness and warmth. Instead, you control warm light and cold light separately. The cold light is very cold, almost bluish, which is great. The warm light, on the other hand, is satisfactory, but not as warm as I'd like. It can't exactly reach the orange hue of my Kobo. It can only get yellow. But this is good enough for me, considering many e-readers only have a cold light, or no front light at all. A setting can be activated to allow control of the front light by swiping the sides of the screen. The Meebook logo on the bottom of the device also is a back button in disguise. This logo button cannot be configured unless Meebook's custom button mapper is installed from the Meebook App Store. The device is also compatible with magnet covers. Unfortunately, it has no headphone jack. You'll need to use an OTG for wired headphones or earbuds. Viewing content reading is optimal. Normal mode and especially Regal mode show minimal ghosting with black on white text. Inverting the colors of the screen to be white on black shows a bit more ghosting, but nothing substantial. Browsing is also fine in normal mode. However, fast mode and top speed, A2 mode, is optimal for web pages with many animations and scrolling. Toppled mode shows instant response between user input and screen refreshes. Thought it shows a lot of ghosting. You could use this mode to watch YouTube or play a game, but I recommend you just use your phone or tablet for those things instead. I tested YouTube in top speed mode, and it was pretty warm by the 3-minute mark. Fast mode would probably be better to conserve battery and prevent it from warming, though.